Alright, so here's a wonderful tweet from Alexandria Ocasio Cortez where she says, if you don't like the Green New Deal, then come up with your own ambitious on-scale proposal to address the global climate crisis. Until then, we're in charge and you're just shouting from the cheap seats. End quote. Alright, this is insane for a number of reasons. First of all, you are not supposed to be in charge. That is what a sociopath says. You are elected by people to represent them. That's a very important distinction. It's quite early in the game for AOC to be showing how drunk off power she is. This is the utterance of a complete narcissist. But furthermore, she says that others need to come up with their own ambitious proposal to address the global climate crisis. Alright, I can do that. I propose we create a Dyson sphere. For anyone who doesn't know, that would be a large spherical object that collects all measurable bits of energy that comes from the sun. You do this by completely surrounding the space around the sun with solar panels. It will power us for the next few billion years with no carbon emissions. Alright, I made my proposal and it's far more ambitious than yours, so now what? What would AOC say to that? Well, she would say it's not realistic, so it doesn't really get us anywhere. Well, now maybe she'll understand where people who criticize her are coming from. Alright, but really, there is a big difference between ambitious and completely insane. Her Green New Deal, as most people know, aims to get rid of the airline industry entirely, aims to get rid of all 200+ million vehicles with combustible engines and replace them with electric cars or retrofit existing cars, and aims to retrofit all existing houses, businesses, community centers, business plazas, skyscrapers, apartment buildings, condos, etc. She aims to retrofit all of these to be powered by renewable energy resources within the next 12 years. This would be impossible, and I don't mean impossible in that it will just be really difficult. No, I mean impossible as there is no physical possible way to accomplish that, in much the same way as my Dyson sphere would be impossible. So when she says she's being ambitious, where does she get off by saying this? She is not ambitious. All she did was write down a pipe dream. All she did was write what amounts to a high school essay, and it comes off as a supermodel trying to oversell a bad Miss Universe beauty pageant speech. There are plenty of small business owners out there who have written up business plans that are far more impressive than what AOC has given us with the Green New Deal. The reason why the Green New Deal is not impressive is because it will so obviously fall into the same oblivion that almost every other government initiative does. Simply because the government writes down that they're declaring a war on drugs doesn't do a thing to help that issue. In fact, they clearly make things worse. Just because they declare a war on terror doesn't help the issue, they very often make it worse again. Simply because they declare a war on poverty, that doesn't do anything. And again, I feel like a broken record, but they make things worse. The same will be said about the Green New Deal. Not that I think that it will ever actually go anywhere, but if it did, it would, at best, be an impossibility that has no effect on anything. It would simply be the ramblings of someone who seems to be obsessed with being in charge of everyone, which is really creepy, by the way. But here is something interesting to contrast Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with. Here is a 13-year-old kid back in 2011. He noticed that the spirals on tree leaves were reminiscent of the Fibonacci sequence. He wanted to know if this has anything to do with the efficiency of the means by which trees collect solar power. He set up a little experiment with PVC pipe and some small solar panels, and voila, he found out that his hypothesis was correct. And he furthered our knowledge of what a more efficient solar energy system might look like. Now, did he solve all of our problems? No, but it's very important to point out that he has done a near infinite amount more for renewable energy than Ocasio-Cortez ever could hope to. So AOC, tell us more about how in charge you are. Speak to us more in a condescending tone about the power you now wield, and I will be sitting here laughing at how you think you are turning the levers of society to get us to a more impossible utopia. Meanwhile, a 13-year-old kid going on a nature hike might have helped us move away from fossil fuels more than you ever will. This whole thing reminds me of that quote from Frederick Bastiat in which he says, quote, "Every time we object to a thing being done by government, the socialists conclude we object to it being done at all." It is not that I don't want to see something like solar energy become a viable, widespread option. How great would it be to have a car you never have to fill up with gas? All you need is an hour of sunlight in a week and you're good to drive for the entire week. If magic existed and I could snap my fingers to have that happen, I would happily do it. But the way to get that done is not by passing magical legislation. It will not be done simply because I stated that I'd like to see it happen. Anyone can do that, and it's not impressive or ambitious at all, as AOC seems to think. The only reason why why we've even had a small amount of movement in that direction is because of people like that child. He's done far more, and I suspect he will continue to do far more for renewable energy than any list of presents and gifts that Ocasio Cortez writes down and sends to Santa Claus. But that is all for now. Please like and subscribe. That would be awesome of you, and I will see you later.